How to Become Your Future Self and Transform Your Reality by David Rousseau. What if the reason your life hasn't changed yet isn't because you're lazy, isn't because you don't want it badly enough, but because you're still being the same person? Think about it. You've set goals, you've made plans, you've tried to be more disciplined, more focused, more consistent, and yet somehow you keep ending up in the same place. Different effort, same life. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not stuck because you don't know what to do. You're stuck because your identity hasn't changed. And until it does, nothing else really will. Introduction. Most people try to change their life from the outside in. They chase results. They chase success. They chase a version of life that always feels just slightly out of reach. But your life doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. Every decision you make, every opportunity you notice or ignore, every standard you tolerate, it all comes from your self-concept, the story you have about who you are. So, if you want a different life, you don't start by doing more. You start by becoming someone different. Not fake, not forced, not motivational hype. Real change, the kind that shows up in how you think, how you speak, how you move through your day when no one's watching. Because once that shifts, your life has no choice but to follow. Chapter 1. Where your results actually begin. Every result in your life has a starting point, but it's not your actions. It's not your habits. It's not even your environment. It's your identity. Before you ever take action, you've already decided subconsciously what kind of person you are, and that decision quietly controls everything. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you'll hesitate. You'll overthink. You'll stop early. If you see yourself as confident, you'll speak. You'll act. You'll move forward even when it's uncomfortable. Same opportunity, different identity, completely different outcome. That's why people can have the same information and create completely different lives. Because information doesn't change your life. Identity does. Chapter 2. You don't get what you want, you match what you are. You can want success all day. You can visualize it, write it down, talk about it, but if your internal identity doesn't match it, you will unconsciously block it. Not because you're broken, but because you're consistent. Your brain is always trying to keep your life aligned with who you believe you are. So, if deep down you believe, I'm not that confident, I'm not the type of person who succeeds like that, I always mess things up, then even if opportunities show up, you'll hesitate, you'll second guess, you'll pull back, and then you'll call it bad luck. But it wasn't luck, it was alignment. Chapter 3. Becoming your future self now. Most people delay becoming who they want to be. They say, I'll be confident when I succeed. I'll take myself seriously once things start working. I'll act differently when my life changes. But that's backwards. Your life changes when you do. So what does becoming your future self actually look like? It's not some dramatic transformation. It's subtle. It's answering messages instead of avoiding them. It's making decisions faster instead of overthinking. It's speaking clearly instead of shrinking yourself. It's choosing discipline in small moments, where your old identity would have chosen comfort. No one sees these moments, but they are everything, because identity isn't built in big wins. It's built in small, repeated decisions. Chapter 4. Stop letting your current life define you. Here's one of the biggest traps. Looking at your current life for proof of who you are. You check your results and think, this is just how my life is. This is just who I am. But your current life is not proof of who you are. It's a reflection of who you've been. If you keep using your present as evidence, you stay locked in the past. Real change begins when you flip that. When you stop asking, what does my life say about me? And start asking, who am I choosing to become? Because once that becomes your reference point, everything shifts. Chapter 5. Why feeling is what makes it real. You can repeat new thoughts all day. I'm confident. I'm successful. I'm disciplined. But if it feels fake, it won't stick. Because identity isn't just mental. It's emotional. Think about who you are right now. It feels natural, right, familiar, automatic. That's what you're aiming for. So, instead of forcing belief, start creating familiarity. Visualize your future self, not just what they have, but how they feel. Calm, certain, focused. Then bring a small piece of that feeling into your day. Not perfectly, just consistently. because the more familiar it feels, the more real it becomes. Chapter 6. The phase where nothing seems to change. This is where most people quit. You start thinking differently, acting differently, showing up differently, but your life looks exactly the same. No results, no confirmation, no visible progress. And this is where your mind turns against you. It says, seeing this isn't working, you're just pretending, go back to what's comfortable. If you listen to that voice, you reset the entire process. Because this phase is required. Your identity always shifts before your reality does. There is a delay, and if you can hold your new identity through that delay, that's when everything changes. Chapter 7. When your life starts catching up, at some point, something clicks. You don't force discipline anymore, you just move. You don't overthink every decision, you trust yourself. You don't hesitate the way you used to. And then, your external life starts shifting. Opportunities appear. Conversations go differently. Decisions lead somewhere new. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. And now your life is finally aligning with that version of you. Chapter 8. Rewriting your story. Everyone lives inside a story. I'm the kind of person who, I've always been someone who, this is just how I am. That story runs in the background of your life, and it quietly controls your decisions. So, if you want to change your life, you have to rewrite that story. Not once, not as a thought, but as a pattern, through how you act, through what you tolerate, through what you choose every single day. Because eventually, your actions convince your mind, and your new story becomes real. Chapter 9. Becoming instead of chasing. Chasing creates distance. It reinforces the idea that what you want is somewhere outside of you. Becoming removes that distance. When you step into the identity of someone who already has it, you don't feel like you're pursuing it anymore. You feel like you're living it. And from that place, your actions are different, more natural, more certain, more aligned. And that's what creates real results. Conclusion. Your life is not something you fix from the outside. It's something you shape from within. Every result you've created so far came from who you were being, and every result you want will come from who you choose to become. So decide, who are you now? Not based on your past, not based on your current life, but based on your future. Decide how you think, decide how you move, decide what you tolerate, and then act from that, again and again, quietly, consistently, because at some point, it stops feeling like effort, it starts feeling like identity. And when that happens, you won't recognize the life you used to settle for